we have a form where you can request personalized award search tutorials for free through the GeoBreeze travel newsletter. And the #1 requested destination that we get through that form is Italy. So today, we are going to cover some of the best ways to fly to Italy from the United States, regardless of what kind of points you have or where you are located. And in case we haven't met, hello, my name is Julia. I am the founder of GeoBreeze Travel, and I personally get about $100,000 worth of travel each year for about 90% off by using points and miles. We do this for our clients as well, and we typically save our clients more than $30,000 in travel in the first 6 months of working with our team. And we want to provide you with a clear path to luxury travel with these free step-by-step tutorials too. Viewer-suggested topics for these tutorial videos are always welcome, so please let us know in the comments if there is a destination that you are looking to travel to. Since Italy has a few different major airports that you could fly into, let's start by talking about how to figure out the best route for your trip. In today's tutorials, we are going to go over all of the different ways to fly over to major Italian airports like Rome, Milan, Naples, Venice, and a few others. I like to use this website, which is completely free. It's called flightconnections.com. And let's start with Rome. So if we type in Rome, then this will show us all of the different airports where you can get a direct flight into FCO Airport. And for this video, I'm just going to focus on the ones in the United States. So here we can click on any of the cities that are highlighted, and it'll also tell us what airlines operate that route. So for example, from Los Angeles into Rome, we see ITA Airways. From San Francisco into Rome, we see United and ITA. From Dallas-Fort Worth, we have American Airlines. From Chicago, it says American Airlines, Ethiopian, United, and ITA. This Ethiopian Airlines one was a little bit weird to me. So if you want to cross-check what you're seeing on flightconnections.com, another great resource for this that's completely free is Wikipedia. I always just search for Wiki and then the name of the airport. So Wiki FCO Airport, go to the Wikipedia page, and it will tell you all of the different airlines that service that airport, plus all the different destinations that you can connect to. If we search for Ethiopian Airways, that only connects from Rome to Ethiopia. There's not some kind of Fifth Freedom flight that connects over to Chicago. So I'm not sure why Flight Connections has that. But if we search through some of these other airports, it says that it exists for Atlanta as well. I'm just going to ignore all the Ethiopian Airways recommendations for this video because they don't actually fly between the US and Italy. The only Fifth Freedom flight that I could find and verify was between JFK and Milan. So if we wanted to search between MXP and other major US airports, this is going to be more so east of the Mississippi River, but we do see that Emirates operates a flight between JFK and MXP Airport. There's also flights from Chicago over to MXP with United. Atlanta has Delta flights. So I went through and did this exercise for Rome, as well as Milan, and then also a couple of the airports that we get a lot of requests for, but there aren't a ton of flights. For example, Venice does have a handful of flights to and from the US. Again, we have Philadelphia with American Airlines, we have Newark with United, we have Atlanta with Delta. We'll go over how to find and book some of those flights. And then for people who want to visit the southern part of Italy, maybe go to the Amalfi Coast or something like that, we have a very select number of flights over to Naples. We have JFK operating a Delta flight, Newark with a United flight, and Philadelphia with an American Airlines flight. There are lots of other airports within Italy as well. I know a lot of people request Florence, but that one doesn't actually have any flights to the United States. And once you get into Italy, it's so easy to just take the trains up and down in Italy. So we'll just focus on the 4 main airports of Rome, Milan, Venice, and Naples for now. And let's go ahead and cover how to book some of these flights with the most common airlines like American Airlines, United, Delta, and ITA. If you love free resources that let you maximize your points, check out geobreezetravel.com/quiz. There, you will find a free short quiz that will point you to the best resources depending on whether you are trying to earn more points, redeem your points, or something else. And by taking the free quiz, you will also get access to the free Points 101 course, which is a fantastic resource for anybody just getting started with points and miles. When traveling to Italy, there are different strategies for people who like to plan 11 months in advance versus people who like to plan last minute. This next tutorial is for all of you last minute people. Let's start with United Airlines. This one's great if you want to fly into Rome from San Francisco, Chicago, IAD, or Newark, or if you want to fly into Milan from Chicago or Newark, or if you want to fly from Newark into Rome, Milan, Naples, or Venice. So great one. If you're in Newark, you've got your pick of Italian cities to go to. I've also found that with United, it is a lot easier to find award space if you are one of those people who tends to book more last-minute flights instead of flights that are 11 months out. So if you tend to plan ahead, United might not be the best program. If you tend to do last-minute flights, you're going to find a lot more award flights and saver space with United and its code share partners. To find all of these, I like to go to seats.aero and click on the search tab. And then we're just going to type in USA for the origin airports over to the 4 major Italian airports that we're checking today: Milan, Rome, Naples, and Venice. And we're going to search closer in because that's where we tend to find more United flights. Let's say that we're flexible on dates. And then under operating carriers, we're going to say UA, which is United. Go ahead and click search. And then next to business class, we're going to click on this down arrow to find the best price business class flights we can find. And so here we see that there are some with United, but also with Air Canada as well. We're going to ignore these other airlines of Azul Todo Azul and Virgin Australia because I'm guessing most people here don't really have access to those. So let's just include Air Canada and United. And so here we can see that if you have a lot of United miles, you could spend $80,000 per person one way, plus $5 in taxes and fees to fly any of these direct routes. Or if you have flexible points like Chase, Amex, Capital One, or Bilt, you could move them over to Aeroplan and spend 70,000 points, plus about 77 Canadian dollars to fly these as well. And they're going to be operated by United a large portion of the time. So whether you would rather pay 80,000 points plus $5 or 70,000 points plus 77 Canadian is totally up to you. Between those two prices, I think I would lean towards the United pricing. So let's check out one of these. Let's say that we wanted to fly from Newark into somewhere in Italy, since there are so many flights there. And we're seeing quite a few flights into Naples. So let's say Newark into Naples, and that we want to fly in July when I'm recording this so that we can get some of those last minute deals. On United.com, click one way, book with miles, flexible dates from Newark into Naples in July for one adult in business class. Go ahead and click find flights. And this will actually show you a calendar of all of the best pricing. So you're looking for anything that's highlighted in green with the 80,000 points. Looks like July 17, which I picked, happens to have one of those. Sometimes it'll be 80,000, sometimes 88, sometimes more than 100. So this handy calendar helps you to find the best dates to fly, because if you are flexible, you're much more likely to find great saver space. And then from here, you just look and see which flight times you like, and then you can fly on United Polaris from Newark over into Naples, Italy for only 80,000 points plus $5.60. Or they do have some connecting flights, which are a little bit more expensive, 88,000 points, but I would opt for one of these that's direct in United Polaris. If these times and dates work out for you, always check the seat configuration. If it's something like this with like the little angled seats, these are the nicer Polaris options as well. Are you enjoying these types of tutorial videos? If yes, please let me know. Click that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for even more points and miles tips every week. Up next, let's discuss how to fly to Italy if you are on Team One World and you favor American Airlines and its airline partners. Next up, let's look at American Airlines for some of the best flights over into Italy. This is great if you want to fly into Rome from Dallas, Chicago, Charlotte, Philadelphia, or JFK, or if you wanted to fly into Milan from JFK, Naples from Philadelphia, or Venice from Chicago or Philadelphia. So this is going to be much better for everybody on the East Coast as well. To find all of the great flight deals, once again, seats.aero, search tab, from the USA to the 4 major Italian airports, and I searched pretty far out in the calendar with the operating carrier as AA. There's not a lot going on that far out in the calendar once again. We have a few business class flight options, but none of them are direct flights. On seats.aero, if it's green, it's a direct flight. If it's blue, it's a connecting flight. So let's see if we bring in the calendar a little bit closer to today's date if we find more stuff. Still not a lot in the 2 months around May 1st. With April, we do see some stuff with American Airlines and then also a little bit with Alaska. This pricing isn't too bad because JFK to MXP, this is 54,000 points plus $5.60, which is fantastic. We also see the standard pricing on American Airlines' own website is about 57.5 thousand points. Sometimes these are going to have really high fees if they're going through London, but it looks like a lot of these are not too bad, especially because they're direct flights straight into Italy. We also see some options with Qantas for about 68,000 points, and then once you're with Etihad, then you're getting up to like 100,000 points. I think that's a little bit steep. If it is an 8-hour flight, I wouldn't really pay more than 80,000 points for it. So let's go through how to book these with American Airlines' own website, Alaska, and Qantas. So let's start with American Airlines. I'm really curious about this one that's 54,000 points. So let's say that we want to go JFK over into MXP. We are going to redeem miles one way, just one person at a time as you practice searching. And then here, the date is going to be March 10. Go ahead and click search. And here we do see that 54,000 point flight, American Airlines Flight 198 from JFK over to Milan. If that date doesn't work for you, you can also click on the calendar button on American Airlines and then filter down to just the business and first class instead of all classes. You can see that's the only date that has the 54,000 point mark, but you do have a lot of dates where it's only 57.5 thousand points. Sometimes, like I mentioned, the taxes are really high. I'm imagining this one goes through British Airways and goes through London since it's got $760 in taxes and fees for this date. But on March 19, it's only $23 in taxes. And so that's how you can find some of the best options to fly into Italy if you want to search with American Airlines directly. Now let's go over what if you don't have any American Airlines miles, but you do have some Alaska miles or build points that you can transfer over to Alaska. Then you can search on Alaska Airlines website. Once again, we're seeing a lot of flights between JFK over to MXP, and that's only 55,000 points with Alaska. So let's go to alaska.com and see if we can find those flights. So here on alaskaair.com, we're going to search from JFK over to MXP in Milan. The date that we found on seats.aero was March 10. And we're just going to search for one adult and then click find flights. Make sure you checkbox use miles as well. And then here on Alaska's website, we do see that refundable partner business class flight for 55,000 miles plus $19 in taxes and fees, which is much better than the option right below it, which is 55,000 miles plus $1,000 in taxes and fees, because this one's operated by British Airways, but this one's operated by American Airlines, and we have much lower taxes than what they have on the British side. So that's how you would find an American Airlines flight through Alaska if you have Alaska miles, or if you have built points that you can transfer over to Alaska. But if you don't have any of those, let's say that you have some American Express points or Capital One points, you could transfer those over to Qantas. It's going to cost a little bit more in points. You're now looking at about 68,000 points instead of 57,000 points. But if that's the kind of points that you have, you could transfer the points over to Qantas, and here's how you would find that flight. So you would just go to qantas.com. We're going to search from JFK over to Milan. And then this is going to be on March 10. Make sure you've highlighted rewards and then one adult, and then click search flights. And here we do see that business reward flight, 68.4 thousand points plus $233 in taxes and fees, operated by American Airlines from JFK over to Milan. And if you wanted to fly Emirates first class, I guess they are selling that for 107,000 points. So that's not terrible. We're going to stray a little bit from the American Airlines thing because since we've searched for a whole bunch of flights over to Milan from JFK, I do want to point out that you can do that with the Emirates Fifth Freedom flight as well. On Seats.Aero, you can just click on Explore Emirates Skywards and find all of the different dates where you can fly from JFK to MXP in business class. It is a little bit more expensive than those examples we just showed with American Airlines. It's going to cost 87,000 points to fly JFK to Italy using Emirates in business class, or if you can find some in first class, then it's 102,000 points. Therefore, I would book this directly with Emirates if you want to fly first class versus Qantas. Since Qantas is charging 107, Emirates charges 102 directly on their website. And if you have any type of flexible points, Chase, Amex, Capital One, Citi, Bilt, all of them do transfer over to Emirates from there. So those are some different ways that you can fly from JFK over to Milan, especially if you wanted to fly with American Airlines metal. If you are in the market for a new card so that you can earn points to fly in business class to Italy, but you're not sure what card to get, check out our free credit card consultation form at geobreezetravel.com/consultations. We will send you a personalized recommendation based on your particular goals, budget, and lifestyle. And through the free credit card consultations, we send out our affiliate links as well as referral links from the GeoBreeze Travel community members to help you earn even more points and miles. And through the free credit card consultations, we send out our affiliate links as well as referral links from GeoBreeze Travel students in the Points Accelerator community. If you would like for us to send out your referral links so that you can get more referral points this way as well, join the Points Accelerator waitlist at geobreezetravel.com/waitlist so that you can be one of the first ones to hear about when we reopen for enrollment and so that you can get some discount codes. So now that we've covered Star Alliance options and One World options, let's go over how to fly to Italy if you are loyal to SkyTeam and you prefer to fly on Delta and its partners. Okay, let's talk about how to find some of those direct Delta flights over to Italy. This is great if you want to fly from Atlanta or Detroit or JFK or Boston into Rome, or Atlanta or JFK into Milan, JFK to Naples, or Atlanta or JFK to Venice. So basically, if you're Atlanta or JFK, you're probably looking at all the Delta routes being like, this is fantastic, I want to fly Delta into Italy. But I would not jump on that too fast because let's look at how much it costs to do that. Once again, Seats.Aero, going to search from the USA over to the destination airports, and I'm going to just search really far out in the calendar. For the operating carrier, I'm putting in DL, which is the IATA code for Delta, then I'm going to click search. If we sort by business class lowest, it doesn't actually have any of those Delta routes available that far out in the calendar. We're looking at about 11 months out. So once again, let's have a shorter time frame where we just bring this backwards month by month to see how far out we can book some of these business class deals. It looks like in May, there are some options to fly JFK to Milan for 135,000 points. With that Delta flight, that's a bit steep. Let's see if there's anything, if we move the time frame back to April. And here we're seeing some more routes, JFK over to Rome, Milan. And if we search all the way back in March, we are seeing JFK to Rome and Milan, not too much from the other US airports like Detroit or Atlanta for the business class options, but 135,000 points to fly in business class from the East Coast to Italy is pretty steep. And we're not even seeing this direct flight with any of the other alliance partners like Air France or Virgin Atlantic. We do see some options to fly Air France from like San Francisco over to Naples for only 50,000 points or 88,000 points, which is fantastic. If we click on the information button next to that route and then look at business class, it looks like this would be flying from San Francisco into Paris, into Naples. So no part of that is actually Delta, but hey, for 50,000 points, I would take it. You could also fly San Francisco to LAX, to Rome, to Naples for 162,000 points transferred into Air France. And this is just showing up because part of it is in Delta, that SFO to LAX option. But that's just a silly route and a ton of points. So this just goes to show that if you are searching for some of these Delta options in business class, be prepared to shell out a ton of Delta points, well over 100,000. While if you are okay with taking a less direct route, like maybe going through Paris or something into Naples, you could fly all the way from the West Coast to a smaller Italian city for only 50,000 points. That's for business class. With economy, it says that there are a lot of ways to fly from Atlanta over into Rome for only 12,000 points in economy with Virgin Atlantic, which is a great route, and it is a really nice price to fly over to Europe for that cheap. So it says you can fly Delta economy for only 12,000 points via Virgin Atlantic. Let's see if that actually exists. So what we'll do is go into virginatlantic.com, click on reward flights, flying from ATL over to FCO, which is Rome. We're just going to search one way for now. And some of these dates that we're finding, this looks like it's in mid-February. So let's just say February 4 was one of the dates that was highlighted. And then go ahead and click search. Here it says the flexible dates from Atlanta over to FCO is 30,000 points. And if we look at the flexible calendar, it looks like 30,000 is the cheapest that we're finding from Atlanta over to FCO for any time in February, and that is in main cabin. So unfortunately, Seats.aero might just be wrong on this one. I'm not seeing any of these 12,000 point flights, which is a little bit unfortunate. This also says that it should be available with Air France for only 20,000 points. So let's see if that exists from Atlanta over to Rome on February 6th or 7th. We're going to go to airfrance.us, book with miles from Atlanta over to FCO, which is Rome. Pick a date like February 6th, 2025, one adult in economy, click search. And here we just want this in economy, and we want to sort by the lowest business class. And here we do see that it's a connecting flight through Paris, so it's not direct, but you can fly from Atlanta over to Rome for only 20,000 points in economy with this SkyTeam deal. So if you have a lot of Delta miles, you could spend 135,000 of them to fly one way into Italy. But if you are just now starting with points and miles and trying to think of what points to accrue, even if you are in a Delta hub like Atlanta or Detroit or Minneapolis or anything like that, I wouldn't recommend going for all the Delta miles because, as you can see, it's going to cost a lot more points in order to fly to Italy that way, and it's also just much harder to find availability. So let's move on to our next example and see what we can do there. The best way to fly to Italy might not necessarily be with US airlines like United, American Airlines, or Delta. If you have flexible points that you can transfer to international airline partners, you are going to have much better options, and those are coming up next. And if you would like to level up your points game even more, we have a couple of options for you. The first one is the GeoBreeze Travel Patreon, which you can join starting at just $5 per month through patreon.com/GeoBreezeTravel. Each month, we prepare personalized step-by-step tutorials for the routes that our members request. We also provide open forum group coaching where you can ask any questions that you have about points, miles, credit cards, or anything else. And we talk through some of the insider tips that I'm not really supposed to mention on social media. And if you are looking to get even more free travel with points, and you are a business owner or individual who spends more than $100,000 per year on expenses, check out our one-on-one points portfolio management service. We typically save our clients somewhere between $30,000 and $60,000 in travel in the first 6 to 12 months of working with our team. If that sounds like something that you would be interested in, book a free intro chat with us at geobreezetravel.com/intro call to learn more. Let's cover how to fly to Italy using an Italian carrier, plus how I would overall recommend searching for the best flight deals over to Italy. So now that we've covered the 3 major US airlines, United, American Airlines, and Delta, and how to use those to fly directly into Italy, let's talk about the major Italian airline that operates flights between the US and Italy as well, and that would be ITA Airways. If we wanted to search for all of those flights, the operating carrier code that we're looking for is AZ. So once again, we're just going to search from the US to those 4 major Italian airports further out in the calendar. If we sort by business class lowest, you're not actually going to be booking these directly with ITA Airways or anything like that. I've personally never even been on ITA's website, and if we're looking for transfer partners, nothing actually transfers directly into ITA. If you're looking at Amex, Chase, Capital One, Citi, or Bilt, nothing transfers directly into ITA. What you're going to do instead is book it through an airline partner like Virgin Atlantic or Air France or something like that. So here we see quite a bit of availability from Boston into Rome, a little bit from Washington, D.C., IAD into Rome. So it looks like you would be spending about 75,000 points per person one way in business class to do this with Virgin Atlantic, or about 90,000 points with that code share with Air France. Obviously, I like Virgin Atlantic's price better, so let's search there. What you're going to do is go to virginatlantic.com, click on reward flights, and then filter down to upper class. We are going to be looking for flights from Boston over to FCO, which is Rome. Let's just search one way at a time for one person. And then as far as dates go, let's look at this first one that's available, May 13, 2025. And here we do see it's 75,000 points plus $5.60 in business class. It's direct, it's operated by ITA Airways, and there's 2 seats left at that price. If we wanted to do the same exact search with Air France, for some reason, we could do that with Air France as well. I don't know why you would need to do that unless you have a whole bunch of Flying Blue points currently locked in with Flying Blue, because if you have literally any type of flexible points, Amex, Chase, Capital One, Citi, or Bilt, all 5 of those will transfer to Virgin Atlantic, and they are all transfer partners with Air France, KLM, Flying Blue as well. But just for education's sake, the way that you would look for this on Air France is you would just go to the Air France website and then click Book with Miles, say that you are searching from Boston into Rome, pick one of those dates where it shows up on seats.aero, like for example, May 31st, 2025. For one adult in business class. And go ahead and click Search Flights. And here we do see ITA Airways from Boston to Rome for 90,000 miles per person one way. I hope you found those tutorials useful. Let me know in the comments what destination I should cover next, and please subscribe to the GeoBreeze Travel newsletter if you would like to request a free personalized tutorial for a route that you want to fly. In the meantime, if you enjoyed these tutorials, I think you will enjoy this video next.